Hello, and welcome to Nerds and Stuff. My name is Martin, and before we get back into our Urban Shadows campaign, Friends Like These, I'm going to have my players reintroduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sterling, and I am playing Calvin Miles, the wizard.
I'm Daniel. I'm playing Oliver Silver, our vampire.
I'm Junior. I'm playing Jake, the Tainted.
Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get right back into it. The scene opens. Is this in the sanctum or is this in the apartment?
This is in my apartment.
Okay, so it opens. Is it nighttime, daytime?
It's daytime.
Okay.
I have polarized windows going around so that I can look out at the city at least. I may not be able to stand in it, but I can at least look out.
Okay. Go ahead and give us a brief rundown of your apartment one more time. We've seen it once before.
Okay, so
but
it's a very lavish place. You know, it's got real fancy, like, marble tile that's black and nice and heated. And,
okay.
I just have a number of extravagant rooms, kind of for different things. I've got, like, a study full of books and stuff, and, you know, comfortable sitting areas and a kitchen, and I've got the grand piano as well.
Perfect. What is the biggest difference besides the security that your apartment provides that your sanctum doesn't?
My sanctum is very much my history.
Okay.
It's the
your baggage, your skeletons in your closet?
Very much. It's where I keep my skeletons.
Okay.
And my ghouls.
So, why not keep those in your apartment?
It's kind of odd having people come over and having them see, like, my collection of war medals and relics. And
Considering you're supposed to be 25 years old for most
Yeah.
people. Okay. Last question is, what is something that you love about your apartment more than the sanctum?
I can see out of it.
Okay.
Like, I can... While I haven't been able to walk among the living, so to speak, for many years, a long time, being able to look out upon the city and see the life in the day makes me still feel...
Like you're human?
A little bit.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, so the elevator dings, doors open, and Artemis comes in. Artemis is a young, strapping lad. He's very intellectual. He's your assistant at Bump in the Night, or Bin. We haven't really talked or explained what Bump in the Night was before.
Not a whole lot, no.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and just kind of briefly touch on your business.
So, as I kind of continued to age, realized, well, not age, but as I got older, I started to realize that I needed something to be able to continue my kind of quest, trying to track down Reynold, the vampire that turned me in the field hospital. And when the 90s came about and these computer things were starting to get big, I thought it might be a good thing to jump onto. The kids were really liking it, and since I looked like one, it made meeting them easier. Turns out I actually kind of had a knack for it after I put in a lot of sleepless nights, because I don't really need to.
Yep.
And so I started getting really good with programming, and it was something I could work out in public, so to speak, or still have a public face, but not be out in public. So I started to work for others as a programmer, and then I had an idea, being kind of lonely, for a sort of dating type site for supernatural beings like myself to be able to meet each other.
Yeah.
Because it's not always easy to walk up to people on the street and be like, hey, do you have fangs too?
So essentially it's like a Tinder for supernatural people.
Right, and then as the smartphones came about, we adapted it into a phone app, and it got big.
And it's not entirely supernatural.
Right, it has, so, like, you can select the types of things you're looking for, and most people just see them as, like, edgy type, goth category type things, but the supernatural know that that's kind of... they're like our identifying terms.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you'll get mortals or normals that will match with you, not knowing entirely what you are. And that can make for interesting encounters, but that's the joys of dating.
But I also like the idea, too, that Bump in the Night, because it has a smaller market, but it's still successful, is maybe like it's like a nightlife app, too. It's not just a dating site, but it has like nightlife features, functions, what's happening.
Stuff going around. And
exactly. Cool.
Especially supernatural friendly events.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and start with Artemis walking in. He has his briefcase by his side. He's It's Tuesday, so he's wearing his blue striped shirt, of course. He's very much a
Right.
man of routine.
Very much with the red tie.
Yep, so he walks in, he goes, and you said it's midday?
Midday, I'm just kind of standing, looking out over the city with my silk pajama bottoms and no shirt because my chest hurts like hell.
Yeah, so it's probably afternoon. He's, good morning, Oliver.
I turn around and just smile at him. And I get a huge purple bruise, apart from all of my shrapnel scars.
Yeah, and so it's only been the next day since we last saw
it is
Oliver.
fucking ugly.
Yeah. So pretty nasty bruise, and the second you turn around, he's, Oliver, what happened?
Well, Artemis, it's kind of funny, actually.
Do I even want to know this story? It's not one of your sexcapades, is it?
No, it's not nearly that fun. Someone tried to shoot me in a bar last night.
Oh, no, dear Lord. What bar?
It was this...
Oh, it wasn't that one that's all over the news today, is it?
It might be.
Pails or...
Pints.
Pints, yes.
Little shithole.
Yeah, they just said it was... I mean, it's downtown. It's... What happened? They said that there was a fire, like a...
Well, I went there to meet up with Zoe, to try and get a little advice.
You know that I don't really care for you going to Zoe so much.
I know, but she has certain gifts.
Which are not proven. They're mere superstitions, Oliver. Surely you're smart enough to see that.
Artemis, Artie, I am superstition.
I suppose that's true. I know that there's a lot that I don't understand about your world because I'm not part of it, but sometimes it feels so out of my league that it seems like other lives are happening. And I know you let me in, but there's probably still so much that you don't tell me.
I kind of cross over to him and I put my arms on his shoulders. I'm just like, Artemis, there's so much you really don't want to know about it.
Yes, well...
You piss off the wrong people just on accident, and then you've got hit squads shooting you in a bar.
He kind of reaches up and puts his hand on your chest on the bruise, just very lightly, very softly, kind of touching it, and he just looks at it and he goes, Should we move on to business then?
And so, like, around the bruise, I have a lot of scars. What pulled me off the lines in World War II is I got hit with a tree burst coming off of
artillery.
88.
Okay.
And so I was just kind of shredded with wood debris and stuff.
So we'll quickly touch on that for layman's terms, right? For
Right.
people who don't who aren't as
artillery
World War
hits
II. Yeah.
A pine tree in the woods, essentially, and it's just splintered and sent debris everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was face first in it.
Yeah.
And so my chest is just cut up with these, and that was the last injury I received before I was turned. And so they healed super quick, but still, it normally probably would have been a fatal wound.
Yeah.
And so now I have this unnatural scarring that doesn't really happen with vampires anymore. But because it was the in-between phase, when it had that rapid healing occur, they're very pronounced.
Yeah. So it almost looks like a shotgun blast or something, right?
Yeah, except
Okay.
it's like spread all across my torso.
Okay. Deal.
It was kind of a mess.
Alrighty. So he kind of turns away, grabs his briefcase, sets it down on a table, pops it open, starts pulling documents out, kind of seeing those things, still shying away from your darker past. You basically telling him there's things about the supernatural that he doesn't want to know, reminding him that as much of the world as he wants to be a part of, he still shouldn't be, and isn't. So he returns back to it, and he's kind of going over some briefings that almost immediately bore you.
It's business.
Yeah, they're...
I have like a gunshot wound.
Yeah. He have you mentioned to him about your conversation with Arnie?
No, not
Okay.
yet, because that happened.
Yeah.
That happened last night or the night before?
No, that happened, I think...
Was it Sunday night?
it probably was Sunday night for dinner. It doesn't matter what night it was,
Right.
because it's
I
been a
have
while.
not told him.
Yeah, but he is aware of Arnie, because Arnie basically did some espionage for you within the company, right? He basically ousted someone who's trying to usurp power within the company from you.
He gave me some information that I've been able to use to keep them in line.
Yeah. And that was actually...
But blackmail is your words, not no.
And that was actually Javier, right? Javier Gonzalez, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So he basically just kind of gives you a briefing on the on how the company is doing, and he mentions that there are some supernatural rumblings that you might be aware of. Just some weird comments made on the app. For instance, one location, they were talking about a nightclub downtown. It's very much not a supernatural nightclub, so they usually don't pay too much attention. But they said that there was some weird things happening there.
Weird stuff going down.
Yeah, and it sounds almost like abomination stuff, which is super rare. Just constructs that are not of this world, either golems or just like piles of sludge or stuff like that. And let me see the skills super quick. Yeah, so if you wanted to learn more about any of that, you'd probably have to hit the streets.
Okay, and try and find someone that knows.
Yeah, and try and find anything more about that, just to kind of be in the know, especially where vampires like to be in that center nexus of intel, very much like a lot of factions do. He gives you some more briefings on just the kind of comings and goings. Still no news from the vampires, at least none that they're sharing with any sources that he might have. He does say that he did hear something about Thursday. Something happening on Thursday is going down, and he's not entirely sure, but it sounds important. And then he kind of tells that you're distracted during the meeting, and he says, Oliver, am I doing something wrong? Is there...
No, Artie, you're great, as always. When I went and talked to Zoe, she just gave me a few ideas. You know, I've been mentioning a lot lately that I've been missing a family. I mean, I always had a big one growing up, and I thought maybe the vampires were that family I was missing.
Are they not? I know you've been spending a lot of time with, forgive me, her name is Scarlet, but she's gone now.
She is, yes. I've been trying to... You know my ambitions. Trying to work my way into one of their clans.
Are they not receptive of you?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I've been effectively told to, cool my shit.
Well, don't they know how prevalent you are in the community of the supernatural? Which he thinks you're like a rock star, but you're still... You don't dispel that.
I might be a big businessman, a wealthy person, and someone who's brought an important thing to the supernatural community. But to the vampires, I'm just a child.
You're considered very young for their people, are you not?
I am indeed. You'd think 70 years of being one would count for something, but I suppose a few more years in the trenches are required.
You know I'm not one for politics, and I barely can stand the company politics. I can't imagine the supernatural politics.
They are not pretty, that's for sure, and this town is abuzz with them.
Yes.
I actually find myself being dragged into them now all of a sudden.
Anything I should be aware of or assist you with?
You kind of look at my chest.
Yeah.
Well, I do need a new stab vest.
Yes, of course. I can start putting out...
Thank God I had the one. I wish I had a few of those 70 years ago, but...
Yes, I'll see if I can either go myself or have someone run down to the docks and see if they can't pick you up some more equipment for your uses.
Thank you, Artemis. I really appreciate it.
Of course, that is my job, as you know. Are you in danger, Oliver?
Well, part of being what I am means I'm always in some kind of danger. But heightened as of late? I don't really know. I might be.
This bar, though, were you just at the wrong place at the wrong time?
I believe I may have been. It seemed like I was just meeting up with some friends, and some folks approached us wanting to use a table we were near. Before I could even talk to them, bang! And then I kind of gestured the 2 pistols that I now have on my breakfast nook, trying to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah. So he kind of briefly looks at them. He's kind of amazed with the craftsmanship. You know, comments on how they don't look like anything he's ever seen before. I think this scene is getting a little long, so we'll probably wrap it up real quick.
Right. You know, Artemis, my mind's been wandering a lot lately. Since I talked with Zoe, I need to put my drive somewhere else.
Not in the business.
No, you're doing great in the business. I wouldn't want to interrupt. You're doing fantastic. I couldn't be happier.
You're more than welcome to step back in. I know you've kind of grown complacent with the business.
I think I might need something new.
Okay.
Kind of a hobby, if you will.
Okay, well let's look at what you like. I know that you're quite the celebrity in the nightlife. What about I don't know. There's that nightclub you frequent. The
Vibe, yes.
The Pulse, or the Vibe, yes.
I do enjoy it there. It's been a little troubled as of late, but...
Yeah, well, nightclubs tend to draw trouble.
It's, I like to think of it as kind of a second home, actually.
Oh, you do frequent there quite often. You meet most of your acquaintances there from time to time. Have you... You know, I remember a while back you were talking to me about real estate, and right before you purchased this building, and then you kind of backed off because this thing was a bit of a nightmare with the upkeep. And
the Silver Tower has been...
The tenants.
An interesting creature, that's for sure.
Are you feeling that itch once again for more real estate, or is this more of like a wanting to micromanage something, or...
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Maybe a business type venture, something that I could be more hands-on with, but also have something that I wouldn't necessarily have to be there all the time.
Do you... You know I always overthink things. This isn't you trying to impress the vampires, is it?
Oh, maybe a little bit, but I think if we could make a nice place for people like me, the people that use our app, to be able to come and hang out and frequent, a place not to worry. Something like that, maybe.
That does sound delightful. I just don't want to see you get as frantic as you were when we first bought this place and when you were struggling with the company. You work so hard sometimes that you get overwhelmed.
Yes, they were some trying times. Thank God I don't need to sleep much.
Would you prefer me to maybe set up a meeting between you and the owner of the establishment?
Oh, that would be fantastic. To be able to really talk to them and see what's going on. They've been getting a lot of bad press lately, and maybe an acquisition might be an easy out for them.
I'll set that up immediately.
Thank you, Artemis.
Scene. Okay, moving right along. We are going to cut to the university. So we cut to the classroom. The camera is kind of like outside. It's a beautiful, like early spring day. It's still a little crisp outside. Mm-hmm. The camera is pushing through this like kind of foggy glass window. Hasn't been cleaned in a little while. Pushes through into a classroom. Right. There's probably a smaller classroom size. Right. You're a history professor.
Yeah. There's probably maybe about like 40. 50 kids in it or something.
So that's a big class.
Not for a big city.
For a university, no, really.
Yeah.
Big.
Not for a big city university.
For history, yes it is.
Yeah,
it's a mandatory class.
Yeah, okay. It's one of the generals.
It's a general, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the camera pushes in, bigger class, 40, 50 people sitting in there. some of them are paying attention, some of them are definitely not.
Yeah.
Kids on their cell phones. The camera pans to Calvin up at the front of the class. Are we like talking blackboard? Are we talking projector? Like what is?
There's like a projector and it's got a pyramid.
Okay.
It's got the pyramids of Giza
Slides up. Yep.
on it. And you just hear Calvin and he's talking and he says, and even after 10,000 years, with modern advances in science and technology, we still haven't been able to replicate these. Or so they'd have you think. And then he looks up at the clock and it's like 15 minutes left in class. And he's like, starts putting his stuff away and he's like, well, as long as no one has any questions, I think I'll let class out a little early. And then he just grabs his briefcase and starts walking out.
Yeah. So one girl's like, Professor Miles, what about homework?
And he just like closes the door.
Okay. And so as he's closing the door, getting ready, he like looks both ways, and as he turns and looks to the left, the dean is walking down the hallway.
And so he turns to the right.
Yeah, he turns to the right, takes like 2 steps, and Dean Corey Johnson kind of flags you down, and he says, Calvin.
Oh, Dean, I didn't see you there.
Yes. We met eyes. Never mind.
How's the big Johnson today?
Long and to the left, I suppose.
Well, glad to hear.
Don't you have class right now? As the class comes out, the
Like-
door right before. Light day, huh?
Yeah, I mean, pyramids, there's nothing really important there.
At this point, Duncan comes over with his question.
Mr. Miles?
What's your name again?
Duncan.
You're in my class?
Yes. I have been all semester. And I took the first half last semester too.
Huh. Imagine that.
I usually have to come to your office for, like, office hour stuff too.
Yeah, well, that's right, sure. Duncan. I've met him before.
Yes, Duncan, Calvin and I are about to meet about something. Is there something you need?
Just a quick question for Calvin real quick. Mr. Miles, sorry. You mentioned that nobody's been able to replicate the construction techniques? I saw this thing on TV that they think aliens did it.
You believe in aliens? You're in college. You need to grow up and stop believing in that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of things in the world that people can't really explain.
Well, it certainly wasn't aliens.
Listen, Duncan, perhaps this is something you could talk to Professor Miles on during his office hours.
Sure. Sorry, Dean.
Yes, of course. It was good seeing you again. We had that chat the other day. I'm still working on your problem, but we'll get it solved. No problem.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Have a good day. He turns and he goes, so...
What a nerd still believes in aliens.
Yeah, that's actually something I've been meaning to talk to you about. As you remember, we're walking down the hallway and walking back to the dean's office. As you remember, last month we had the annual review board of tenure track and non-tenure track professors, and we went through...
just last month?
It was last month, yes. Once a semester, as you know, we try and do it earlier from the previous semester. Well, anyways...
Yeah, okay.
Fall semester, not a lot of good reviews for your performances. We're getting those emails put into the matrix, and we're going to send out the matrix as soon as we have it compiled, but not a lot of good reviews on your classes last semester. Listen,
Okay.
some of the board members are very concerned about your teaching ethics and your work ethics, and generally just your ethics around the university. We're hoping to get you a little bit more involved in the day-to-day, and oddly enough, Duncan has sort of provided us with an opportunity for you.
Who?
Duncan, we just spoke to that tall, scrawny man moments ago.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yes. Well, we're in a bit of a pickle here, Calvin, and perhaps you could help us with this situation. We, as you might be aware of the other problem we talked about not more than a couple days ago, there's a problem with, the Mormons becoming too ambitious.
Oh, yeah, you mean the hunters?
Yes. So the Mormons have created a bit of a problem, and Calvin was listening to their scripture a little too much, and now he's interested in starting a paranormal investigation here at the university, and they need a faculty advisor, and because we need someone to control them and help shape the direction that they go, which is nowhere, I'm hoping that you would be willing to assist in that matter.
I mean, well, you're asking me to do this even after, like, just a couple days ago coming to me and asking me to...
Yes. So here's the deal. I know that I'm coming off as a bit of a bother, but the thing is I'm kind of the only person fighting for you to keep this job. I know you're tenured, but there's also problems with you not teaching class, leaving 15 minutes early, canceling...
I mean, the kids got all their homework done. It's fine.
One of the... He kind of brings out his smart device, looks up an email, he says, this is one of the reports from last semester. It says, Professor Miles regularly does not assign homework, and he professes that he does not like to grade homework, so he will never assign homework.
What kind of nerds go to these schools? I mean, when I was at uni, I loved when our teachers didn't give out homework. You have so much workload from all the other classes, one professor not giving out homework doesn't make that big of a difference,
Yes,
does it?
but you teach 6 classes a semester. That's 6 classes you're not giving homework out. Oh my goodness, you... Calvin, my good man, please stop. You're gonna put Dean Johnson into an early grave. Please, just meet with Duncan and the others. Convince them that this is a bad idea, and if they're still willing to go forward with it, just make sure they don't get in any trouble. Listen, I know I'm asking a lot from you, but at the same time, you didn't see how mad the board was the other day. And it's not just you, it's a lot of other professors, but you're one of the top on the list.
Well, I'm generally top of the list. I'm just that good, mate.
Yes.
And I poke him in, like, the ribs.
Yeah. Calvin, this is not the good list to be top of. Listen, do this as a favor for me, okay? And we will call my going to bat for you last meeting. We'll call that even. Just man this club for me.
Alright, I mean, if you want, what's the name of the club?
Paranormal Investigators.
Fuck. Alright, yeah, sure. I'll teach them all about aliens.
Yes.
And magic and whatever.
No, do not teach them about aliens or magic. Convince them that none of that is real.
Oh.
New Salem is part of a fine balance of disbelief and skepticism and weird. Portland is weird, but New Salem is weird. Okay, we need to keep New Salem weird, but not Portland weird, okay? Because remember the great Portland outbreak?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Who could forget
Who could
the Great
forget?
Portland
Yes.
outbreak?
Yes, of the supernatural kind, yes. It nearly put Portland off the map. Or on the map in Washington or so. I can't remember the details. Listen.
Oregon.
Oregon. Listen. Do this for me. And pot will be square. And well, of course, on top of the other things that you're already doing for the council. Not to be confused with the board.
Right.
Listen,
Yeah.
Calvin, you've got it covered. I have all the confidence in you. Now, if you don't mind, I think you have another class to get to.
Sure, yeah.
See? Right.
Poor Calvin.
Yeah, so 1 second.
You really need to carry like a calendar or something. You're like, what?
You teach
the hell?
6 classes a semester.
Wait, what?
1, 2. That's funny. For the last few days, you've been trapped in a nightmare. A nightmare where the edges of your sight rip between black and red, fury and darkness. You get fleeting images, ripping something to shreds, smashing, crashing, blood, always blood. Then there's this black, swirling, twisting vortex sprawling before you, twisting endlessly, mesmerizing you. A sort of terrible trip through mind, through eternity. There's this dark rumbling within you. You wake up and everything around you is pitch black. You're standing naked in pure black. There is no up, there is no down. You pathetic worm. You are nothing. To think that you would ever become mortal again. You will serve until I release you from my service. The voice shudders around you, filling your entire world, booming through your very soul, or at least what place used to hold your soul. Your entire world becomes this twisting red and black nether, until you stand before a circular archway. Blood and black, twisting and swirling before you. You've been here before. You feel your consciousness, you look down, you see your hands marred in blood, ravaged from work. Work that you don't remember doing. You're weak, tremendously weak. Exhausted to your very frame, to your core. Weary, like you haven't slept in days, like you haven't eaten. You stand before this portal to the hellscape. The voice booming through once again. I am done with you for now. When I need you to harvest more souls, I will call upon you.
As I hear that voice, though, my body just automatically ducks and kneels.
Folds over,
And just kind of kneels.
compelled into a bowing position. You have done well these last days. I release you back into your mortal frame. But your bidding is not completely over. You see someone step out of the shadows off to the side of this room. It's an older man. He has gaunt features. His face clings to him as life clings to some of the supernatural. He's very old. He wears very simple clothes. It's not one for flash. He just steps forward and stops. You catch his eyes, and then you look back to the portal. You will work with him for now. He will introduce you to an ally. Serve this ally as you serve me.
It shall be done.
The portal snaps back into emptiness, an empty doorway, almost looking like a prop from a movie or sorts. And darkness just seems to sort of retreat back into the corners and then out of the room, almost feeling like lights are finally piercing into this room. You stand before a vampire. Unmistakably so. Someone who has been around for hundreds of years, if not longer. You know him as Reynold. How do you know him?
I know him because he's the one who introduced me to my lord, my patron.
He is the one when Anna was sick and dying. You reached out haplessly, trying to find any sort of help. He introduced you to Nepharis. And when Nepharis presented you with the opportunity, you seized it.
Son of a bitch.
While Reynold might not be the person who doomed you, he's certainly the one that opened the door.
I had to.
Hello.
So as I kind of kick back and I stand up quickly, and kind of realize my senses.
Yeah, you're standing naked before him.
I just kind of realize that, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
He gestures towards a chair nearby that has kind of like a robe
Okay.
you can put over. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll run and grab that real quick.
So you're just exhausted. You probably even put one arm on the chair or sit down in the chair just to kind of hold yourself. He says, "We have much work to do, you and I."
I don't know what happened. I'm just kind of rub my head. And
He puts his hand on you. He says, "Young man, we have much work to do. Gather your strength and meet me later tonight. We'll make it tomorrow. Meet me tomorrow."
just kind of shrug my head.
Yeah. So he tells you that he wishes to meet you, but he says, "Gather your strength." He says, "Meet me 9 p.m. at we'll come up with the he'll contact you,
Okay.
or he'll send someone to pick you up. Actually,
okay.
yeah, he'll send someone to pick you up, and he's going to introduce you to the person that you will serve as you serve Nepharis.
Okay.
He tells you that his name is his name is Arthur Cato. Arthur Cato has much work that needs to be done.
Okay.
You will find that Mr. Cato and you have much in common."
Very well.
He kind of gestures out of the room, which you know to lead back into the night, the kind of rave nightclub known as Club 666. And he tells you that one of the bouncers will be able to drive you wherever you need to go.
Okay.
And then you, all of a sudden, it hits you, and you understand that it's Thursday,
That it's been a long.
and that the last thing you remembered is it was Monday night.
So
and then yeah.
I'm gonna kind of tuck, myself and try to go as quickly as I possibly can out. I gotta head home. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know shit's.
And it's probably like midday, so the club is empty. People are setting up for the night. Thursday night is a big night. Friday night is a bigger night. Saturday night is the biggest night. But yeah, so there's nobody there. You get some Snickers walking around in a robe. But you link up with one of the bouncers, and I'll let you have some time to think about where you want to go. So we're gonna call that a scene. The camera opens to a noodle house, right?
It's a really
Sakura.
Sakura, yep. So it opens. Tell us, this is the first time we've seen this. It is a stomping grounds near Calvin's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So yeah, it's just kind of a almost traditional like ramen house type of a thing.
Okay.
So it's kind of an open air pavilion, and they've got benches and like a stool, and there's some guy like back behind making noodles for everyone to eat.
Gotcha. So it is like a brisk evening. So they probably have like an indoor section because New Salem can get really rainy,
Yeah.
right? Can get cold in the winter. Doesn't snow a lot, but when it does snow, it snows like a fuck ton. So there's probably like an indoor section. So as you approach, you're kind of like unwinding for the day. It's been another day. Like it's different. It's 2 days later than your meeting with the dean. You know, the club hasn't met yet, right? You've reached out to the club president, and unfortunately, it is Duncan. So you have a whole mess to deal with there. But you're just been kind of stressing about some things. You know that stuff's going down tonight, and you were woefully unprepared as far as information. And so you wanted to come here, unwind, right? Get one of those classic meals under your belt, and then move on. And as you're walking up, you
in the back corner, kind of the back table,
one of your favorite seats.
You see Oliver sitting there with a bottle of sake and 2 small shot glasses.
Oh, fuck.
Now it's been a while since you saw him, right?
Yeah.
The last time you saw him was Monday night at the Pints.
But seeing Oliver is never like
No, never, ever, ever. Where you're like, oh, Oliver, perfect. I've been meaning to talk to him.
I'm a great guy.
Says Oliver.
Yeah.
All right, so you.
I wave at you.
As he's like walking, he completely stops in his tracks, right? You just like stop, and he waves at you, and you're just like,
Calvin!
like thinking about your dean
can I
moves.
get it
Like,
to
can
go?
I turn and walk out?
Yeah.
Calvin, come have a seat.
I just kind of lower my head and like walk over and sit at the table,
And I pour a little sake shot for you.
and I drink it instantly.
I guess I pour another thing.
And then I'll drink that one, and then I'll be like, so, I'm assuming you'd like to talk to me about something?
Well, yes, it's been a few days, and, Calvin, I really wanted to thank you.
For
what you did on Monday. I really appreciate that. I don't have many people in my life that would step up and try and protect me like that.
I mean, it's no problem, mate. We're working together. Just, protecting some assets, you know?
That being said, I feel like I owe you one.
Have you seen Jake?
No, I haven't. I've had some of my friends looking for him, but he hasn't surfaced in a couple of days. I haven't been able to get a hold of him either through, well, I've tried his email, but I don't know if he knows how to use it. But I've also tried calling him too.
There have been news reports about like a vicious murder spree.
Oh, boy.
And you guys worry that Jake was involved.
Well, it's never good to let that big lug run around on his own.
No, I when we were at the park, I tried to pull him out. I tried to reach in and get in contact with his humanity, but he was so far gone. There was nothing I could do. Then he cast me aside like paper trash and was gone.
Right, I mean, I wish there was something I could have done, but I was kind of back at the pub dealing with the little fairies.
Right, yes, those little fairies have been quite a handful. I do hope Jake's okay. With what's been in the news lately, I'm really hoping that he hasn't been taking a real active role in that. I know when he was gone, well, we'll say when he left, he was definitely in the height of whatever darkness fuels him.
Right, I wish we could find him, but I even tried using my tracking the other day, and he was off the map.
Oh, that's
What kind of forces would prevent your magic from working on someone?
I'm pretty sure demonic forces could stop that.
Yeah, because like you might even be able to track him when he's in demon form.
I could probably track him in demon form, but
if there's something,
if he's in hell, I probably can't.
or if there's something even more powerful,
Yeah.
blocking or controlling him than your magic, right? Because you were being blocked previously, and you later learned you were being blocked by Aurora's magic, which is more powerful and wild than your own.
Yeah.
So while your magic is magical, there are other magics that are more powerful than yours. Yeah.
Well, speaking of darkness and kind of your tracking, the meetup tonight, have you heard anything more? What little resources I had left have taken an active role in trying to discourage me from seeking out any additional information.
I've met up with another wizard. Her name's Aurora.
Have you met Aurora before?
I don't think
you have. Let's try and put a face to a name.
Yeah, actually, I was about to ask if I could.
Roll with
Okay,
their faction. Her
power.
faction is power.
I got a 5, so
Okay.
I don't
So-
know anyone in this town.
You do not know them, or you owe them. I'll say that you do not know them.
I don't associate with many wizards anyway.
No. Yeah.
As a general rule of thumb. Aurora, I don't believe I know her.
She's a pretty powerful wizard, but she's a little bit of a fireball.
Does she teach at the university with you?
She used to.
She used to.
Yeah, she lost her job there. But
What does it take to lose your job from the university?
I don't know. I haven't ever lost my job from the university, and I don't do much, honestly.
That's kind of what I've gathered with a little bit of online looking.
Your phone vibrates. New message.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's a message from Arnie. He says that Jake is back on the grid. Last spotted leaving Club 666.
Thanks, Arnie. And I send that off.
Okay.
It seems as though Jake has resurfaced.
Great. So I'm assuming we'll probably stop by and pick him up since...
Right, I have a few other things I need to do to get ready tonight. Do you know where the meetup's taking place?
I imagine
You've heard rumors, right? The hunters alluded that they might know where it is. No one has told you specifically where.
Mm.
You might be able to get that from Aurora, but then Aurora, you have to deal with Aurora potentially not wanting you to be there. Like, there's complications. No matter what, there's ways to find out where it is and when it is. But the only information you guys have tonight is that it is tonight, right?
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, Calvin. I don't want to go as an active player. You know, I don't have any clout with these things that are taking place, these people. But I want to go and make sure that everything happens smoothly. I don't want a war.
I don't think any of us want a war, except for maybe some of the wolves and vampires. They seem to be pushing for it.
I can't even pretend to know what the vampires all want. I know that I just want a peaceful, happy place to live. And I want to live in harmony with those other groups here, but others... I fought my war.
Right, so, I'll say we go get Jake and try and figure out where this is going down.
Right, that sounds good to me. I'll reach out to you a little later tonight and see where you're at. See if we can track down where they're at and, hopefully not be too unwelcome.
Sounds great.
Scene. So the scene opens in Pete's Diner. And we've briefly discussed Pete's Diner. You want to touch on it super quick one more time?
Yeah, just a very basic...
like
it's
American Diner.
American Diner, yeah. It needs renovation, but it doesn't make enough to do it.
Yeah.
And there's just basically booths and then a big, long, bar where people sit. So
perfect.
it's
Real
just-
old style.
Good, yeah.
Like,
classic American
I'm
Diner.
kind of like picturing like a streamlined kind of like really
50s
long
look.
50s.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Like a really long bar that could serve like 20 people,
Yeah.
and then a
Right,
couple
the
booths
lunch
off to the
counter
side.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pull up and you kind of sit down at the bar, right? And you kind of crash heavy onto this bar stool.
Yeah,
Your elbows, your hands.
Tired.
You stopped off at work super quick, grabbed like a spare change of clothes, and then had the driver drop you off here. Your aunt works here. This is like the only place that you could go. You know that you have to go back home and deal with that, and answer questions, or at least try to answer questions where you've been for the last couple of days, especially after the last time you saw her. It was a pretty rough conversation.
It was very rough, very rough.
So you sit down. Your aunt's working. She looks at you and Jake, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah. It's been, I guess, a crazy few days. I don't even recall.
Yeah, Sarah's been calling me nonstop. You just disappeared, apparently.
Yeah, I was apparently called.
Yeah, you don't even have your cell phone, too. Like,
so, yeah, because I know
all
the
your
spares
stuff's
don't have
yeah.
everything, so... I just need some coffee for now. Can you get me that?
yeah. So she goes and gets you some coffee, and you see her on the phone. And it didn't ring. And then she hangs up and she comes back, and she sets down some coffee and kind of parks right across the bar from you. And you were called.
Yeah, do you remember, as you know, my other life?
I wish you would have never made that deal.
I know, but I had to do something to save her.
Sometimes life, as precious as it is, isn't worth the cost. That's not fair for me to say. I'm sorry. It's just, you look like you haven't slept in days. You look strung out. You look like you need more than one cup of coffee.
I do. I don't really remember what happened, as you know, when I go into those changes.
Do you want me to make you some chicken fried steak or anything?
Yes, please, anything.
Yeah. So she disappears, and as she's kind of in the back, she waitresses a little bit, but she likes to cook for you specifically. Yeah. So as you're kind of hanging out, Calvin walks in, and he doesn't even see you.
Yeah, I'm just kind of drinking too. I don't.
Yeah. So you walk in.
I walk in and I imagine I'm like, Susan, we need to talk.
Yeah, and so like one of the hostesses is like, hello, welcome to Pete's Diner. And you're like, Susan, I need to talk to her. And then you kind of peek over. We'll just say that you don't necessarily see him right off. I don't. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You can pick, but she goes back and gets Susan. So maybe while you're waiting for Susan, you see Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I see Jake, and I'm keeping this a secret from Jake that she's really high up. So now I'm like,
Because you came here to talk to her about tonight, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Calvin kind of makes eye contact with you, and you're like, fuck. You don't want to talk to anyone but your fucking dinner and your coffee. You just want to be like a prisoner at lunch, not worrying about nothing. Calvin walks in. While Susan's in the back, you're kind of you feel like you have to go talk to him.
Yeah.
So you walk up.
Hey there, Jake.
He looks haggard.
You look like you've had a rough show of things late.
You don't even know the half of it. It's been... I don't even know.
I tried finding you the other day, and you were nowhere to be found. You doing okay?
I think so. I'm just, trying to get a little food and get my bearings back.
Well, couldn't have picked a better time to come back.
Susan walks back in and she kind of sees you and she sees Jake and hello. Yes, you said you needed to talk.
Yeah, it was about that date we kind of had scheduled. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it anymore.
For tonight's date or the other date?
The other day.
I'm like, what? Dating my aunt?
Do you know him? What the hell? This day just got worse.
Oh, jeez, yeah. So you said the other date?
Yeah, the other date. And I kind of wink at her.
But Calvin is so not obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so obvious. Right, so you're just getting really confused.
Yeah.
But you're also so tired.
I'm so tired. I'm getting mad, but I can't do anything about it because it's just my body's just worn out.
Maybe we could talk about it in the back or something away from the kid. It looks like he's just wants to eat his food and.
Are you fine? Dinner will be ready here in a moment. She kind of brings you over to the other end of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
gives you like a cup of coffee. What's going on, Calvin?
The thing is happening tonight with the wolves and the vamps. Correct?
Oh, dear, I've heard rumblings. I don't know for sure. I've been working with the hunters, and they seem to be pretty rowdy about something, and it sounds like it might have been tonight. Now that you.
Well, where is it happening?
Oh. Let's go ahead and hit the streets.
The streets?
Yeah.
Rolling with mortal.
Mortality, I do believe, would be her. She's an
Yeah.
warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I keep trying to figure out if it's with the faction you're trying to gain information from, but you're rolling with mortality.
Got an 8.
An 8.
Oh wait, a 9.
A 9. So choose one. So on a 7 through 9, whoever you're going to is juggling their own problems, or whatever your need is going to cost more than anticipated. So I'm going to say that she's juggling her own problems, right? And that problem is Jake's life. So she's going to bring you into that for a resolution sort of thing.
Okay.
So she says to you, I can get you that information, but I need you to do something for me. This is no small favor, but neither is the information you're asking.
What can I do for you?
My nephew, your friend, I'm dearly concerned about him. Whatever you have planned, try to keep him out of it. And try and just keep him safe. He's in over his head.
I can do the second one easier than the first one. He's got powerful people pulling his strings that want him in it.
Well, just try. Listen, I can get you that information within the hour. I'm done soon. I get off and I can reach out to the council and see what we can pull together. Just please, just take care of Jake. He's in worse shape than me or you can possibly imagine.
I will. I'll look out for him.
Okay.
And anything you can do would be a help.
For the meetup or for him?
For the
Okay.
meetup.
Yeah, she says, I should have information with you. She kind of checks her watch. She says, 8:30, 9 o'clock. It's probably the time to expect it. And so she runs back, goes, grabs your food, and comes back. And as she comes back with the food, you're kind of hanging out for a second, thinking about how you can possibly keep Jake out of this when not only do you want to have him there, but also there are forces at work in Jake's life far more powerful than you.
That's why I promised I'd try to keep him
Yeah.
safe more than keep him out of it.
Yeah. So as that happens, Vincenz walks in. Vincenz Marcellus walks in. A very reputable man, looks great in a suit, very handsome.
So at this point, is Jake just like facing it?
Well, he doesn't. Yeah, the door opens. Bling. He looks over and he immediately walks over and puts his hand on your shoulder and he goes, "How are you doing?"
Very, very tired.
I reckon you went on a bit of a spree. And you're like not entirely sure what you mean by it. At this point, you kind of see him. You walk over. You're not entirely sure who he is, right? You're seeing a man who you don't know the name of. So I'm gonna have you put a face to the name.
Actually, I did that last time.
Oh, okay.
I do remember him.
Okay.
From the diner,
Yeah.
right? From the restaurant.
Oh yeah, actually yeah,
He's at the
you
restaurant.
definitely know him then. Yeah, so you see Vincenz and you kind of immediately recognize who he is. Do you walk back over?
Yeah, especially since Susan's kind of asked me to watch over Jake
Yeah,
tonight.
and this is like one of the powerful men that might be pulling Jake's strings.
Yeah.
So you kind of walk up. Are you like combative right off the bat, or right? He immediately looks like he's chumming, like buddy with Jake.
I'll just be like, well, Vincenz, what brings you to this neighborhood?
Yes.
Slumming it up a bit, are we?
Calvin? Yes. Listen, as you might know, I've recently announced my candidacy for mayor, and the slums... I would hardly call this place a slums, but all of the city is my future city. It's nice to meet constituents.
Yeah, it might not be the slums, but it's certainly no place you'd really visit on a normal day. You might get some grime on your suit.
Oh, no, that's no problem at all.
When you have money for dry cleaners every day, I'm sure
Listen,
it isn't.
I feel like... Have I done something to offend you? You seem rather confrontational towards me.
Me? No, nothing.
Oh, you're not a backer of the opponent, are you?
And who might that be?
Arthur... Sorry. He would definitely know this name.
He would.
Arthur Cato. You're not a fan of him, perhaps. At this point, you are definitely drowning in the gravy.
Under the table?
Yeah, you're definitely drowning in the gravy.
Yeah, because I'm between a rock and a hard place.
Because you're meeting up with Arthur Cato tomorrow night. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with you, I'm sure.
I do recognize you, actually. Reports the other night at the Vibe, perhaps?
The where?
The Vibe. A man meets your description, fired a weapon in the venue.
Huh.
Ever heard of it?
Never have.
Well, if you had heard of it, then you might be a little bit more surprised to hear that I also know that that person was a friend of Jake's here, and a friend of Jake is a friend of mine, so I made the mess go away. No worries, Jake. I don't want or need anything for taking care of you and your friends. As you know, I do it because I care about you.
Thank you.
And any friends that might cause you to get into more trouble than you should be.
It's nice to have friends like you.
And perhaps even, I understand that you and some friends were at the bar the other night when things got a little rowdy. Did you hear about that as well, Calvin?
The what?
The bar, Pints.
I think I've had a pint there before.
Do you like games, Calvin? Because we could play this game all night. But I'm sure you are
Play
interested...
cards, some snooker, play a few games, darts.
Yes. Well,
Pretty good at darts.
Aurora said you were very confrontational for men in power.
It's just I've been there before. Just, I know the path you're walking and I know it's not a good one.
The path to becoming mayor of the city, is that what you're referring to?
The path of power. I was just like you when I was younger. It'll blow up in your face one day, and I just hope it doesn't destroy the city with it.
Well, it seems here that your friend knows a lot about destroying parts of the city.
Yes, he's been through a lot.
Yes, well... Be careful, Jake. It's good to have you back. I'd hate to see you disappear again. Your aunt called me and let me know that you were back in town, so to speak. I just wanted to make sure that you were well and looking into some of those things we had talked about last.
Yes, I just need a little rest.
Of course.
And I will be back at it.
He kind of pulls out his wallet and puts a couple $100 on the counter and he says, "Go buy yourself some new clothes. Those are covered in filth. Take care of yourself, Jake. I'll see you around soon."
Good.
Calvin's phone vibrates. Get a text message that just says, "I can't find Jake. He's not answering his phone."
Calvin, it was nice to officially meet you. I hope that maybe next time we have time for more games or less games or...
The pleasure's all yours, mate.
Of course. That is going to be our session for this week. We will be back with more friends like these next week. As soon as Junior recovers.
Isn't politics great?
Politicking. All right. Thank you very much. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't. Though, if you're having a good time with friends like these, please subscribe. Let your friends know about us. And if you're having like an exceptionally good time, then maybe So support us on Patreon, maybe just a little bit, just $2 a month. That's like money you lose in your couch. I think Jake's strategy is spoil Anna so that Sarah forgives you. Right?
It's probably the
Always
best.
spoil Anna.
Get her a fucking Power Wheels, man.
Yeah, where's she gonna drive it? They don't have any room.
Yeah, it's a city. You live in a tiny
That
fucking
doesn't
2-bedroom
matter.
apartment.
And you drive it down to the convenience store to pick Daddy up some cigarettes. Okay?
Oh my god.